Between 1934 and 1937, Jinnah kept his eyes firmly fixed upon the centre. Just as much as the Congress, he did not like the federal provisions of the 1935 Act. They would weaken the old unitary form of government, introduce the Indian princely states to muddy the waters of British India, and make it impossible for nationalists to get a working majority even if the Congress and the Muslims came to terms. But above all, Jinnah disliked the act because it kept a firm hold over power at the centre, which he had fought to wrest from the British hands. Thus, Congress and Jinnah had a common interest in breaking the old provincial structure of politics upon which the British depended. This added to a basis, however shaky, for an alliance between Jinnah and the Congress bosses in a joint attack on the old provincial and a pincer movement from two sides against the British at the centre. If the League succeeded in rallying Muslims in the minority provinces solidly behind its banner, Jinnah's League might have had something to offer the Congress. 1937 elections did not help matters. Muslim League was trounced in Punjab by the pro-British Unionist Party, a cross-communal alliance of Muslim and Hindu agriculturalists. The results in Bengal showed how divided the Bengal Muslims were. Muslim League won 39 seats out of 82 it contested. Krishak Praja Party won 36 out of 75. Congress with 54 seats in Bengal was the single largest bloc. The Muslim League managed to cobble together an unstable ministry, but this was a success built upon the shifting sands of Bengali factionalism. In the other two Muslim majority provinces, Sindh and NWFP, Jinnah had no success at all. The dismal record in the Muslim majority provinces made it essential for Jinnah to rescue something in the Muslim minority provinces, where the League's appeal was likely to be greater. The United Provinces were the key. Here, the Muslim League defeated the Agriculturalist Party to win a majority of the Muslim seats. In United Provinces, however, Congress emerged as the largest party in the assembly and did not need an alliance from any group to form a ministry. But if there was to be no coalition between the Congress and the League in the UP, where the League had its own real success in elections, this put paid to Jinnah's hopes of forming coalition ministries with the Congress in other Muslim minority provinces. The 1937 election thus destroyed the foundations upon which Jinnah had built his strategy ever since his return to India in 1934. Muslim provinces now felt the full brunt of the Congress, which was ascendant at the centre. They now recognized the need to have a spokesman at the centre, and Jinnah and the Muslim League were the only plausible option for this. Faced with the threat of being snuffed out politically, the League urgently needed a new strategy for survival. In October 1937, Sikandar Hayat and Fazlul Haq rescued Jinnah from political oblivion by allowing him to speak for Punjab and Bengal at the centre. But they both made the League pay a heavy price for the privilege. By agreeing to bring their followers nominally into the Punjab League, the Unionists were in fact ensuring the obliteration of an independent league in their province. Moreover, Sikandar insisted that in return for their limited mandate to represent their interests at the centre, the Muslim League would have no say in Punjab affairs. That the Sikandar-Jinnah agreement at Lucknow was a victory for Unionists is proven by the reaction of Iqbal and Jinnah's urban supporters in the Punjab. Iqbal saw the move as handing over the League to Sir Sikandar and his friends, which had already damaged the prestige of the League in the province and may damage it still further. Jinnah had no alternative but to sacrifice what little organization the League had in Punjab in exchange for the limited right to speak for it at the centre. Bengal's backing at the centre was purchased by Jinnah at an even higher price. To get the immediate support from the ministry in Bengal, Jinnah had to permit Haq and his Krishak Praja followers who straddled communities to appropriate League's colours. In return, all Haq promised to do was to advise his few remaining Muslim followers in his party to follow the League's policy at the center, while in every other respect he and his men remained free to go their own way. In short term, this prevented Nazmuddin faction, which was closer to Jinnah and the All India Muslim League, from throwing Haq out of office and bringing in a League ministry in its stead. After the elections, Iqbal had advised Jinnah to ignore Muslim minority provinces altogether and to look to the Muslims of northwest India and Bengal. Iqbal wrote, "Why should not the Muslims of northwest India and Bengal be considered nations entitled to self-determination just as other nations in India are? Personally, I think that the Muslims of northwest India and Bengal ought to, at present, ignore Muslim minority provinces. This is the best course to adopt in the interest of both Muslim majority and minority provinces." Iqbal was convinced that the League would now have to decide whether it will remain a body representing the upper classes of Muslims or the Muslim masses, who have so far, with good reason, taken no interest in it. The real issue, as Iqbal saw it, was to solve the problem of Muslim poverty. The only way to solve the problem of bread for Muslims was to enforce the law of Islam. A bold social and economic program based on the law of Islam for the Muslim masses, according to Iqbal, should do the trick. But what such a law involved or how it could be implemented was not clear, and in any case, Jinnah was too shrewd and too secular to chase this particular hare. If the law of Islam was to be interpreted by the ulama, the traditional guardians of the law, then Jinnah would certainly have nothing to do with it. Any recourse to the law of Islam would have sparked off an ideological debate between the ulama and the progressive Muslims. This was clearly the last thing Jinnah needed at this stage. As his old friend, the Raja of Mahmudabad, reminisced, Jinnah thoroughly disapproved of such traditional remedies. He asked Mahmudabad not to express them from the League's platform, since that might mislead people into thinking that Jinnah had given them his endorsement. Moreover, Jinnah could see that any appeal to religion or to a radical economic program might only too easily boomerang upon its proponents. In any event, such appeals were irrelevant to Jinnah's predicament. Jinnah wanted the League's claim to complete equality with Congress to be recognized. While he was prepared to come to an understanding on this basis, he said, "We cannot surrender, submerge, or submit to the dictates of the high command of the Congress, which is developing into a totalitarian caucus, functioning under the name of the Working Committee and aspiring to a position of shadow cabinet in a future republic."